going to take the flywheel, slide it on just like that, and then we're going to take our nut and put it on like that. This is where your zip tie is going to come in, because we're not going to use the, see, notice it's flipping and it's wanting to pull the starter in because of the one-way bearing on the back. There's a one-way bearing on the back, so we need to take off the starter to do this, because that way it'll allow it to turn basically, and then cinch up against the zip tie when we put it in there. But I wanted to show you what it does. You see when I'm turning it, it pulls it in. If you keep tightening it, you're going to ruin it. So we're going to pull off the starter with this little one here. Oop, that's the wrong one. It's got teeny little screws. There we are, these. All right. All right, you see I've got the starter off in the back. You take your zip tie and make sure that the engine's kind of in its next rotation up when you're tightening it. You stick the zip tie in like that and you start tightening. And then it cinches up against that piston, and I'm sorry I'm not videoing, I'm watching. It's not a thick enough zip tie. It's wanting to cut it off. You need to make sure it's a nice thick zip tie. I'll be back in a second. Alright, now we've got this flywheel put on. I just took a big piece of vice grips and stuck them on a big pair of vice grips, stuck them on either side, tightened this down with a 5/16, and we are good to go, ready for the next thing. We're going to put the auto starter on it, and that will, I'll say the auto starter, the electric start, and the fuel or the exhaust pipe here, which is right here, and it goes that direction, just like that. We'll tighten all this down, put the starter on, and next time you see it, we should be putting it in the truck. Here's a little very important tip on these engines. This is the clutch, and what it is there's a little bell housing with the gear that goes over it like this. So the Traxxas engine spins counterclockwise, which is this way. So you want to make sure that if it's spinning this direction, this part, the top, can spin out and hit the bell and grab it. If you put it on the other way, it's kind of like going like this. The pivots are wrong, and it will never ever pivot out and hit. So you just want to make sure that it's on there just like that. So when your bell housing's on, it'll grab hold just perfectly fine. So now we've got that done. We can put our bell housing on here, and we can put our little bearing on just like that, and it's not wanting to do just exactly like I like. Oh no, sorry. Been a while since I've done this, guys. And then there is a little washer that goes between the bell housing bearing and the C-clip. You have to put that guy on there. Otherwise, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And then you snap this little C-clip on there. Now, the other T-maxx that we had came with a different, looks like a 17 tooth. And we need to make sure that the other one is a matching set. Otherwise, we need to change the spur gear also. So I forget what this one is, comes factory, but I need to do some investigation before we go any further. And it should be stamped somewhere on here, like 17T or 18T or something like that, and I don't see it. So let me do some research, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I did a checking on the other ones, and both the spur gears in each T-maxx are 72 teeth, so it really doesn't matter which one we use. You can see the one right here is a 17 tooth, and this one I think is a 22 or something like that. So the 17 tooth is going to make the car take off a little bit quicker versus the taller tooth here, which makes it a little faster on the top end speed. So we're going to go for this right here just for break-in, and then maybe we'll change this for racing later on, but we're going to leave the 17 tooth off. Here's Zachary tightening down the engine mounts. One of the T-maxxes came with a custom engine mount, so he wanted to keep that, and he's opted for the little taller motor gear there, so it's going to make it go have a faster top end. So far everything's going good. Next thing to do, he's going to put on the electric start with the one-way bearing, and we'll drop it in the truck. All right, here's Zachary. We have put the engine back in and got the exhaust and everything on, and he's fishing the last zip tie around the exhaust pipe here to hold it on. Setting the lash for this the spur gear is not tremendously hard, and it's kind of hard to explain exactly how it's done. I've heard some people say you should be able to slide a piece of paper through there, you know, with a little bit of resistance. So not really sure exactly what the best way to do it. I set it by feel. You just kind of get to, you burn a spur gear up or two, you kind of know what's going on. So anyway, this is where we are, and I'm going to kind of clean some stuff up and get this 100%, and then we're going to fire it up and start the break-in procedure. Well, this has actually been about, I don't know, 3 months since that last video you came from, or the last cut I should say. We ran into some problems with this thing. I did not change out the fuel lines whenever we were rebuilding this, and what happened is when we first tried to fire it up, it sucked some gunk that was in the inline fuel filter straight into the carburetor. So every time we tried to run this thing, it would run lean and it would get hot. I mean really hot, to where it just wouldn't run. Luckily we didn't cause any damage. I took it up to my local hobby shop and he was taking a look at it. He sold me some new lines. We looked at it together. I just left it with him, and he says, I found a big old hunk of garbage inside this carburetor. He blew that sucker out, and we started using it and breaking it in, and it runs perfectly. So far, so good. We just finished the break-in. I'm not going to bore you with the break-in procedures. The Traxxas book goes over explicitly how to break in your engine. I do believe it was 5 tanks, starting with a quarter throttle up to a half throttle. We're already up to the point where we're going to start tweaking this engine. I'm going to kind of mess with it, and then we'll give you some action videos, which I think everybody will like. And we're going to take it over to, you know, what do you call it, a field or something like that someday soon, and do some good action stuff. But this thing hauls pretty good. The only problem we're dealing with is the reverse and the forward doesn't want to happen all the time, but from what I remember from my old T-maxx, it did the same thing. And then all I need to do now is adjust our fuel mixture and get it a little more lean, just so it's not quite as fat, because it was running a lot of, you know, a rich mixture to keep it from blowing up the engine during break-in. So now we get to actually tweak it and make it a little bit faster. But so far so good. This thing's a blast to run, so let's go see how it looks. All right, Zachary's getting ready to start it. You can turn it on? Let's turn on your servos first. Did you fill it full of gas?
Yep.
Puts on as we don't use the glow igniter off of the starter itself. We use a separate glow igniter. This is just a little more reliable than the old blue wire technique. He leaves the glow plug on it for a few minutes, the glow igniter, or a few seconds, just to make sure. It's a little chilly outside right now. We want to make sure that it gets nice and warmed up. Beautiful. Now he's going to go warm up. Not so hard. Shifted gears perfectly. Was that full throttle?
No, that was half.
Watch out, car coming. You're gonna hear it shifting down. Is that full throttle?
Yeah.
Looks like we got this thing tuned nicely. Watch out, Zachary. Well, as you can see, we got that thing tuned in pretty good. It's pretty chilly outside, and it's in the 50s, and it was kind of hard to get tuned just right in the cold weather, but keeping it around 250, 260 on the temperature range. So we'll have to, once it warms up, we'll have to retune it again for the high-speed needle. But you know, for a little bit of investment and a 12-year-old having some fun with a, you know, that thing brand new is $500, and I forget what we have in it, but not anywhere close to that. And it's got all those upgrades and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, that's the end of that saga. It's been a, gosh, was it 3-month ordeal to get this thing going, but now we got a happy 12-year-old. So see you all next time. Thanks for watching.